What's going on, guys? Handsome Homebuyer here, and on today's podcast, we have the maven of money management, Lou Soriano. Yeah, kid. Welcome everybody back to another episode of the Handsome Homebuyer podcast. My name is Charles, aka the Handsome Homebuyer, aka Captain Permit, aka you. This is all you.
Oh.
Bring us home.
El Judío Maravilloso.
Yeah. All right. So today's guest is a financial wealth of knowledge, which is very, very important because, in this world now, today, forever, I feel like in America, there's just a shortage of financial literacy, business training, etc. But before we go there, Levy.
Charles.
Do you know who's a wealth of permit information and knowledge?
I believe is Captain Permit.
Wait, come here. Come close and say that again.
Captain Permit.
Damn right, Captain Permit. 516-513-8838. If you need plans, you need permits, you need anything permit related from tip to tip, coast to coast, and by that I mean Montauk to the Queens border, we got you. We got you in style, and we got you with, I would dare say, the best looking crew in the business. Decks, sheds, legalizations, awnings, new construction, light commercial, interior alterations. We are a realtor's best friend. We're a real estate attorney's best friend. We are a mortgage broker's best friend. We are a title company's best friend. Hell, I want to be your best friend. Hit us up at 516-513-8838. If you have a house that smells like cat pee, dated from the 1960s, 6 inches of mold on the wall, I feel like you could probably... You could.
Man, I could finish this. No.
Any kind of real estate, any kind of property, I'm quick, I'm easy, I want to buy it. Big. January's been a fucking huge month for me. Crazy wins.
Awesome.
I just got last week, and I've been working on this for a year and a half, the approvals in Farmingdale Village to build a 138-bed assisted living facility.
Oh, wow.
That is a freaking win.
Tremendous.
So I'm going to celebrate that with you with that
Awesome.
for that 1 second. So thank you very much.
Congrats, brother.
It's been busy. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are saying there's not a lot, that there's not opportunity, there's COVID, they're freaking out. I'm here to tell you right now that there is more opportunity out in the world right now with the way things are shifting. And this has been happening for quite some time, digitization of our society. But remember, very important, and before this, recession hit, I was out there telling people like, people like, I want to get into real estate, I'm like, forget about that right now, but get your training now. If you train now, you're going to be ready for when the bottom falls out.
100%.
And the bottom fell out.
Yep.
If you missed it, you could still jump on board. It doesn't matter because guess what? In another 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years, the bottom's going to drop out again. The bottom always drops out.
It happens every 8 to 10 years. There's some, cataclysmic event that, the world's coming to an end. We all think it's coming to an end, and those are the opportunities.
So with that said, we have the Lou Soriano CFP, brother of the O'Neill team's only Justin Soriano.
Yeah, not quite.
I think so.
Much older brother. In fact, I'm so much older that I could be his dad.
Which is crazy, man.
And I am his dad.
So Lou is Justin Soriano's dad. For those of you who don't know, he was the first. Was he the first member of the O'Neill team?
I want to go on record, and I'm pretty sure I'm correct in saying this, but I think he was like team member number 1 on the O'Neill team. Yeah.
If you're listening to this and you don't know the O'Neill team,
he's very close to being number 1, but I'm pretty sure he was. He hit Dan up early.
If you don't know the O'Neill team, and you haven't heard this podcast before, the O'Neill team is with Signature. They are the fastest rising, hottest in both real estate and aesthetically looking group out there.
Crew.
They're doing unbelievable things in the real estate based space. They're creating amazing content. Dan's a great buddy of mine. And if you're out there looking to sell a house or looking to buy a house, they're an awesome group of people to work with. So the irony of all of this is that I had absolutely no idea that you were Justin Soriano's father.
So
you look 32.
Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. You're too kind.
Idea.
It's the lighting in here. Levy's got me looking good, I guess. And I got my pocket square, my trusted pocket square. So
we started talking about all this stuff off air, and I'm like, stop talking to me.
Yeah, you keep stopping me
because
I talk a lot.
I'm like, this is no, I love it, and there's so many just great, interesting things that you're saying, and little knowledge bombs that you're dropping. So I'm like, just save it for the podcast. So you're 53 years old.
53. I'll be 53 in July. 52. But yeah.
And you and I met because you actually were very nice and gave me a shout out while doing a walk.
Yeah.
one of my podcasts with
that's right.
Luis Cardenas.
Luis Cardenas. I love that guy.
We've
become friends now through Instagram and through that post. And I've actually helped him with a deal. So, yeah, it's funny how Instagram works.
So tell everybody how this whole thing came about. How your son got into real estate. How you started making videos. How you basically came to the real estate community.
Okay, so for starters, I was a realtor myself many years ago. I had no aspirations of being a realtor. I had a full-time job at that time as a biomedical engineer, and I was doing the financial planning thing. I was just starting that. This is 28 years ago.
Can I stop you 1 second?
Of course.
Excuse me. So it's just, you guys didn't hear this, and I'm sure you hear all this stuff, but the more he talks to, Lou Soriano has led the life of like 6 different people.
Oh, for sure.
He's a pool shark. He was he was a
cyclist,
a realtor. What was this new one now? Biotech engineer?
Biomedical engineer.
Biomedical engineer.
Medical equipment. Yeah.
Cyclist. Cycled around Puerto Rico. What else you got?
Oh man, a lot. Husband, dad, graffiti artist.
Do taxes? Were you?
Oh yeah, I was big into graffiti.
Yeah?
Oh yeah, big time. So when I met our buddy Rob Menino, who I'd love to talk about, awesome guy, and I went to their office, I saw all the graffiti. I was like, yeah, I used to do this stuff, but it wasn't legal at the time. So, but anyway, realtor. So yeah, I was a realtor back in the day. And I really wasn't interested in being a realtor. I just wanted to find a house for myself, tried to cut the commission out if possible. And that's exactly what happened. And it was hard to get information back then. 28 years ago, you really had to be a realtor to have access to MLS. There was no Zillow, no Google. I know I'm dating myself, but that was the reality.
Did they actually have the website? Or I've heard stories of the books that used to get dropped off like every day.
Yeah, I was definitely after the book. I'm not that old, Charles, but
Sorry,
yeah, it was after they had computers then, and there was MLS, but it was proprietary, so you had to be a realtor to have access to it.
Okay.
So I wanted to become a realtor just for that reason, because we were working with realtors at the time. No disrespect to them back then, but they would take you to see 10 houses a day, and if you knew right away you didn't want to see a house once you got to the curb, you were kind of forced or obligated to go and see this property. It took all day. They didn't have internet the way they did now, where you could do a legal tour, a virtual tour, and then say, yeah, I will go see A, B, and C. You actually had to go and see these houses. So I said, all right, this is bullshit. It's taking too much time. Took the test, became a realtor, went into Century 21 in Hopog, and I literally told the owner there, I have no aspirations of being a realtor, but I am in the market for a house, and I just want access to data.
Okay.
So once I had access to that, I found the house that I'm living in now in Smithtown, and that was the end of my real estate career.
Are you still licensed now or no?
No, I'm not licensed now. But one thing I realized back then was I love the hustle of the realtor. I love the drive of the realtor. They're unlike almost any other independent contractor or business that you could start, in the sense that you're kind of self-made.
Yeah.
You're kind of thrown to the wolves when you're a realtor, right? You don't have much in the way of support.
You are totally thrown to the wolves.
Yeah. So I started going around to different realtors and saying, hey, listen, I'm a financial planner. I do accounting work also. I want to help you guys plan, right? And I got 2 clients from back then that are still with me today, and they're still realtors to this day. And I think part of that is because, one, they work their asses off. They're very good at what they do, but also they planned.
Yeah.
So that helps set them up to have a very long, prosperous career. And that's how I started with realtors and financial planning. So kind of melded together. And then fast forward to 2020, everything shuts down, right? But the hustle don't stop, Charles. You know what I'm saying? 2020 couldn't stop the hustle. So I said,
it can't stop Lou Soriano's hustle. It stopped a lot of people's hustle.
But I hustle humbly. You know what I mean? I'm trying to do it the right way. So my son is, like you mentioned, with Dan O'Neill. And being a dad, I said, well, who's this Dan O'Neill? And I see he's following you and all these other people. So I'm follow. And
that's crazy,
they're
man.
following me back, and Justin's like, Dad, what are you doing? You're following all these, these are my peers and my friends. I says, listen, that's all well and good, but you're my son. I want to make sure you're associating with the right people. And thank God he has. I'm so proud of my son. Really, I could get emotional talking about it right now, because,
that's awesome.
Yeah, he's a good kid. So, yeah, I'm just happy for him. So I started following him and all these other realtors, and then they started following me in return. And, I just started making some videos on IG, and now I'm sitting here with Mr. Handsome Homebuyer. Funny.
See, it's crazy because I'm trying to think about when you dropped that. You probably dropped that like shout out story maybe like 6 months ago.
It was over the summer, yeah.
Yeah, and that was over the summer, and that was I hadn't met you. I didn't know who you were at that point. But since then, you've done great things in the social media space, and I've watched a bunch of your videos, and I've learned things from you. And
Thank you.
So, there's a bunch of things I want to talk about, but I want to start with what you were saying before about preparation. So financial literacy, planning.
Yeah.
How to structure small businesses, how to set yourself up for retirement, especially in the real estate community, but in every community is like, it's not talked about. It's not taught. Right. You don't learn it in school. A, how did you get into financial planning? I'm curious to know first. And then B, what are the things that you're seeing people doing right? What are the things you're seeing people doing wrong? What do you, when somebody comes to see you, what advice do you give them to kind of set them up, let's say from the beginning? Because I know what you did for the O'Neill team, which I'd love for you to kind of break down a little bit more about how you sat down, talked to them and said, hey, listen, guys, it's awesome that you're doing business, but there's all these, pitfalls that you have to worry about and watch out for, and landmines. Set yourself up properly. Like I was saying before, I've been in business for 20 years. I learned a lot of those things the hard way because I didn't have somebody like you who was, setting me up and advising me.
Right. So how I got started was through my Uncle Victor Lopez. Shout out Victor Lopez. My Uncle Vic, at the time when I was working as a biomedical engineer, I started buying stocks and penny stocks and stuff like that.
Hold on, we got to digress.
Okay.
I'm sorry, man. You went to school, you became a bioengineer.
Yeah.
Biomedical engineer.
Biomedical engineer.
What does a biomedical engineer do?
So a biomedical engineer installs, repairs, medical devices. So think of like I worked in the ICUs and the OR.
Okay.
So like,
That's awesome.
ventilators, I worked on life support equipment,
Okay.
like ventilators, physiological monitors, things like that. So I installed them, I repaired them, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So that's how I started my career out of college, but I knew I didn't want to do that. I always had an interest in finance. Always. How I didn't wind up there, I don't know. I think it was through my guidance counselor. My guidance counselor was like, so what do you like to do? I was like, well, I like fixing stuff and like TVs, and I used to DJ, and I like, all this other stuff. And he's like, oh, okay, you'd probably be good in electronics. Like, it was like, remember that movie, what was it? The Godfather, where like, Vito Corleone's a baby and like, they're like, just stamp him. It's like, this is your name and this is what you're going to do in life.
I'm almost ashamed to say that I've never seen The Godfather.
Oh my God, it's the best movie ever.
I'm sorry, man.
Anyway, my interaction with my guidance counselor, I felt just led me down that path. You know what I mean?
Where did you grow up?
Brooklyn originally, and then Brentwood.
Okay.
So I kind of like didn't know what I wanted to do. So I went down that road, a technical career, put it that way.
Okay.
But I always had an interest in finance. So circle back, once I started making a little bit of money, $30,000 was a lot of money back in 1990. I was buying mutual funds and stocks, and I was showing my Uncle Victor at the time was preparing my taxes. And he said, oh, you should get licensed. You could do this, on your own. Just like my real estate story, I was always looking to cut out the middleman. You know what I mean? So I said, all right, got licensed, and I started trading on my own for my own account. And then I also was preparing taxes for myself. And then my sister-in-law told a friend, they told a friend, a neighbor, and then I built a business. So that's how I got started.
So did you build that financial planning business or tax? It was tax preparation at the beginning, correct?
It was kind of both simultaneously.
Okay.
Because although I was licensed, I really wasn't, again, I had a full-time job at the time. So I wasn't looking for clients per se.
Yeah.
I was just looking to do my own trading. But the more I talked about it and the more people asked me about it, I was like, well, I could help you out. And then it got started. I'm doing now a tax return for you or helping you open up a mutual fund account, on and on. Mm-hmm. And thank God, 25 years later, it's been an amazing journey. So
good for you, man.
I love
That's great.
it, man. I'm very happy. Yeah.
And you seem very happy. And being around, like watching your videos, you're very positive. Being in front of you, you're very positive, which is great.
Thank you.
I want to See, that's an interesting point. I want to point that out because a lot of people, you see gurus and stuff on YouTube and whatever, and they're like, quit your job, just like jump into it. And I want people to understand like what you did. You essentially had a full-time job. You were working 40, 50, 60 hours a week.
Yep.
And then you opened up a business on the side, essentially.
Yeah. In my basement.
And I want you to kind of talk about the process of what that was like and how long it took. And then kind of the moment where, because there's got to be that moment where you're like, I have to leave the comfort zone of my full-time job.
Yeah.
And now it's all me on me. The pressure's all on me.
Yeah, that's tough. And, listen, for some people, I have 3 kids.
Did you have the kids at that time too?
Yeah. When I was studying for my CFP, actually after I had my twins is when I realized, all right, that was the turning point for me. I said, wow, a salary alone is not going to cut it. I don't care what you do. If you work for someone or you have a 9 to 5, and I'm not knocking 9 to 5s, it's just you're limited, right? If you're a doctor, you're going to make X amount. If you're a receptionist, you're going to make X amount. If you're a biomedical engineer, you're going to make X amount. They can't. It's not sky's the limit, right? As far as the salary goes. And having twins at that time, my wife couldn't work because we had Justin, who was 3 at the time, Lauren, Celine, who are my twins. They were newborns. Wow. I was like, oh shit, pressure's on. I got to do something. So I said, this little side gig has to stop being a side gig. It has to be a business now. And, you get to the point where you're 9 to 5, you have a 9 to 5 and a side gig, and then it kind of flip-flops, right? So your side gig becomes the main hustle, that becomes your business, and your 9 to 5 is the side gig. So because you're making more money doing the side gig, or because you just have that passion the potential
for it?
To make more money on the side gig is there. And that's what I love to do. I love to talk about this stuff all day long. It's just what I love to do. So you were asking so that's how I got started. And I, in turn, tried to educate people through even my videos. But I never did these videos until COVID hit because I was stuck at home. I talk a lot, and I had nobody to talk to. So I said,
I need an outlet.
And I said, oh, I see this guy, Charles, on Instagram. He's on there every day. He's talking. He's educating. And I learned a lot from you. And I really respect how you do it, right? So not only are you, talking about your life and what you do, but you are also educating people. And I said, I like that. So same thing with some other people out there, like more recently. I've gotten connected with Sean Waller. Yeah. He's a real estate agent. Also,
great guy.
Mike Tatino, another guy, Matter of Visual. So we have our little hustle squad, and that's what I call us.
You need shirts, man. You have shirts?
No, man. We might have to do something with that.
You definitely
right?
need shirts.
But we support each other.
That's awesome.
And what I liked about Mike, Matt, and Sean is that they were doing similar stuff in their own way too, right? They're educating people. Like Sean says, I'm giving free game here, So I loved it. And I said, listen, we got to collaborate a little more and not necessarily do things together. We're all in different industries, really, right? But we could support each other. So that's what I try to do.
Which is huge, because I feel like we were talking before, and then I'm like, I don't want to talk about this anymore because there's so much good stuff I want to talk about on air. I feel like there's a movement going on, now it's like a real movement. Because everything used to be keep it close to the vest, right? Yeah. In business, and don't share. And if people know, if you share something, then people are going to steal your business and all that. But now, for the first time, I've been making videos for a while, and very recently, the last few months, I feel that we collectively, as an industry, as Long Island, there's a movement. A 100%. Movement of just sharing and just creating this ecosystem where everybody can really do as well as they can.
Yep, absolutely. And it's not about competition. It's about community, right? You want to build your own little community. So that's what I feel like I've done with not only the people I've mentioned, but also all these other realtors that I'm working with. And I think I skipped a question because I'm just blabbering away, right? You were asking about other people and how I help with realtors. When's a good time to start getting basically your shit together? Day one. Yeah. Day one.
And this is for every business.
For every business. Because really, and I mentioned this earlier, you own a job, really, when you're first starting out. It's not a business. It's not a business until you got things in place and, you're structured properly, you're planning. And like a lot of people when they first start out, realtors and otherwise, they don't even have a separate bank account for the money that they're making. So that's rule number one, all you realtors out there. Start off, get a separate bank account. When COVID hit and PPP and all the stimulus money started hitting, everybody wanted to apply, but it was like, okay, we need like records and bank records. And are you an LLC? Do you have a separate bank account that we could show your income and revenue? They're like, no, I just mix all this shit in with everything. I got one account. And I struggle with that with them. So that's what I try to do with the realtors. I try to help them out. And I think you were asking like how I started with Dan O'Neill or something, or maybe that was before we got started.
I jump around a lot, man.
I do too. It's all good. But when my son got started, just to kind of jump ahead maybe, I said, listen, I know you're going to be successful. I always believed in my son. I want him to know he's going to be successful. So I'm constantly like,
that's awesome.
Telling him like, dude, go. Like now's the time.
I mean, that's huge. He's very lucky.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, that's really...
Me and his mother. It's not just me. Like his mom is there too. We support him. Same thing with my daughters. I want them to be involved. I want them to have some sort of business on their own. I'm harder on my daughters in some respects too, because I'm always telling them, I don't want you dependent on no man for anything. Have your own shit, have your own business, make your own money. You never know when things will go left. I want you to have your own, be set up. No, but
that's super important. I mean, that's really, I can't say it's a difference all the time, but successful people that I know, the overwhelming majority of them, that was their background.
Yeah, you need the support early on.
Yes.
And then in turn, so I said, Justin, we got to make sure we plan for you and everything. And then I hit Dan O'Neill up and I said, Dan, thanks for taking my son under your wing. And I started following him and got to know what he was about. Great guy. And they started building this great team. And I asked Dan, I said, hey, could I come in and just talk to you guys? I know you're going to do well. I know you guys are going to blow. But I want you guys to be prepared. So Dan was nice enough to have me in last year. This is pre-COVID. And I just was telling these guys, like, listen, you got to plan for taxes. You got to plan for this. You got to be set up. Once you start making over $40,000, $50,000 net income, you want to be structured as an S corporation to save money on self-employment tax. Once you start making more than that, you start thinking about a Roth IRA. Start thinking about this. Once you get past there. So it's all these like levels, but I want them to see like the end in mind now that you're starting. So as a result, I started working with Jake and George and, John Cariello. I love John. He's my boy. And
He's a good guy,
and I've said this before, Brianna, they're young adults, but I feel like I got to look after them. I'm like Uncle Lou, you know what I mean? So that's how that got started. And I've been happy to work with them and so many other realtors all across Long Island.
And I feel like this is kind of, I don't know a lot about the CFP space. I've met a decent amount of them, and I was never really in love because I never felt like they were giving the value that I see you giving.
Thank you.
Right? So, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on here, because I feel like you're the future of that space, the now and the future of that space, which is, it's not just put this money here, I'm going to invest it in XYZ. It's you are involved in every aspect of their life, of planning for today, tomorrow, 50 years from now for their kids.
Yeah.
And that advisory role, I feel like not that many people are doing it the way you're doing it.
And I take it very seriously because I see these young people out there, these young professionals, and they have so much determination, so much drive. And I'm so impressed with literally usually when you get older, you hear adults 40 in the 50s, right, say, when I was your age, we did it this way and we had it harder. I think this generation has it harder. And I think they have more guts, more everything. You know what I mean? They're just so talented. So I want to nurture that. Like, you know what I mean? However I can to help them be successful because without the planning, without some things in place, without the structure, I think that's why a lot of them kind of, a lot of people who start out in this business and others fail because they don't think about all the other things that need to be in place before they get started.
Because there's no way, where do you learn it? There's no unless you go out there and actively seek it out.
Yep.
And I don't know if we had it harder. The one thing that I guess every generation, now that's how I know we're getting old. Maybe not you because you think that that they have it harder. But every generation says that the next gen, oh, I had it so much harder. I had it so much harder. I mean, the internet and social media is
that does level the playing field, doesn't it?
Game changer.
But they're not using it, Charles. What's up with that?
Which is a great segue because I actually wanted to talk to you.
If an old man like me could use it and get on the couch here with Handsome Homebuyer, why aren't they using this more often? I don't get it.
Great segue, my friend. Great segue. So I wanted to talk about just what you had mentioned to me earlier, which is, hey, listen, I get uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable right here. But like Will Smith says, you do it. You do it when you're uncomfortable.
Do it scared.
You do it.
If you're nervous, do it nervous.
So talk about that. Talk about what that process was like, and then also talk to people because we were talking before about, listen, I don't necessarily need a Madar visual, but I talked to him, I consulted with him. He set me up with a camera setup, and now I'm cranking it out. So I think people see people like Levy and they see people like Matt, and they're like, if I'm going to do this, that's what I need, but that costs money. And you're proof that you're giving great value, on a daily, weekly, constant basis. And you're doing it very professional looking because the videos look great.
Thanks to Madar Visual.
And it doesn't have to be this whole production.
Right. It doesn't have to be this whole production. So I did need a Madar Visual in my life. Definitely did. And he helped me because early on, I saw him working with you. And I liked the quality of the videos that you did.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Then I'm comparing to my shitty videos like that I was using on a little $40 webcam that I had on my laptop and my cell phone, which was an iPhone 8 or a 7 or something at the time that the camera wasn't that great. So I started hitting Matt up, and I says, hey, I need some help, And he said, yeah, you need to get set up, this and that. I needed a headshot. So he came, we met, hit it off like I knew the guy already for years, and then I said, listen, I need to be set up right. So I had a consultation with him. He says, well, what's your budget? I says, I don't know, I'll spend $500 on a camera. He goes, all right, you're going to need a bigger budget. So I said, oh, okay, it's like that? And he says, yeah. So he gave me a list of things that I needed. And I bought a camera and ring light and the whole deal.
Nice.
Microphone. And I make these videos kind of on the fly. So when you see me in my office, on my whiteboard, or in my home office, it's just because I literally got off the phone with a client.
Yes.
This came up, and it's like, this is a topic. This is content.
Yes.
So it's like,
really
hey,
important point.
Yeah. So before you draw out of your 401k, like this is the things you got to be concerned about. Real life story. I had a client referred to me who got a letter from the IRS that they owed like $25,000 because the year before they withdrew money from a 401k. Did not know that this was going to be taxable because they said, oh, they withheld taxes. They told me they withheld taxes. He didn't think he had to report it on his tax return, even worse. So it just got compounded to the point where I was like, all right, listen, all you realtors, all you lenders out there, and not all of them, but there might be some, they don't care where you get the money from. Just, oh, you're going to take money from your retirement plan to have this 20% down payment? Cool, let's go. So I made that video about, hey, there's a red flag out there for all you realtors and lenders.
Yeah.
Before people raid their retirement accounts, make sure they're doing it the right way. So Louis Cardenas called me. He's like, I have somebody who's doing that shit right now. He's like, it's timely that you made that video. So we got on the phone.
That's awesome.
He's like, yeah, I want you to talk to my client. I spoke with his client, told him, don't take a distribution, take out a loan. He had to do it. I'm not a fan of taking money out of retirement account for any reason, just full stop, right? Like that's not what it's for.
I like that you said that.
But if you are going to do it, there are ways to do it that are tax efficient. You don't get penalized, all this other stuff. So I saved that guy a ton of money, I think. I'm hoping he did the right thing. And I know he did because Louis told me he did. So that's how like the whole Instagram thing worked. You know what I mean? So I met Lou through you, Matt hooked me up, made a better video, so that's how that all started. But you could start with just your cell phone. Just like you have content every day. We all live a life. There's always shit that comes up every day and something that comes up that is of interest. So you should talk about it.
Two things that popped in my head based on what you were just saying just now. One is, and I have this conversation with people all the time, we're mentoring Amanda Palmieri, that new realtor that was on.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know what to talk about. I don't know what to talk about. I'm like, listen, I said exactly what you did. When you're on the phone with a client or whatever it is, and you're talking about something with them, you're educating them, that's a topic.
That's it.
Because people are mostly the same. So if that client has that question, odds are there's hundreds of thousands of people out there in the same place that have exactly the same question. And that's how content gets created. Like you said to me before, how do you come up with all the content ideas? It's a lot of work. I'm like, exactly.
It's your daily thing.
Exactly
That's
what
it's your
do.
real life. It's
exactly
what's
what you
your
do.
real work. And you know, just pet peeve for my realtors, who I love, by the way, love my realtors out there. I want to make that clear. Is I see a lot of realtors, they make videos, and the video is, hey, I'm so-and-so, and if you have any questions about buying or listing a house, let me know. Like, that's the video, right? Not bad. A better way, I think, of doing it is like, hey, a common question I get about buying a house is, and here's the answer. Or a common question I get about selling a house is this. And just, you know what those questions are. So rather than have people ask you, you know, or request that they hit you up and ask you these questions, just talk about the questions that these people do ask you and answer them.
Yeah, because a lot of times these newbie people that are coming in to buy their first house that have no experience, they don't even know what the right questions to ask are. They have absolutely no idea.
Right.
Since you brought up and it was very cool that you said that about you're not a fan about tapping IRAs.
Not at all.
I feel the same way, and it's very cool that you said that. A big thing that I see and I get very passionate about is people just over leveraging in general, or not being, like I always tell people, like, listen, it's not the mortgage payment, it's everything else. Like, houses are very expensive.
Yeah.
You know, we do all these houses. I don't own my own house. Not to say that that's a bad thing. Listen, it's not. But if you're going to buy a house, which is cool, you want to buy a house that you can afford.
Absolutely.
So do you have a lot of those conversations with your clients and say, listen, let's...
Awesome. So, well, two things, and I want to remember this. I kind of disagreed with you a little bit about the home ownership.
You're like, we got to talk about this.
And maybe we'll tap into that in a minute. But yeah, so I like helping people determine what they could afford and going over these numbers. And I know there's a lot of good lenders out there that'll do the same, but they're so busy. Maybe they, you know, some do, some don't. Case in point, Justin had a client who was unsure if she could afford a house. We met together, Justin and I, with his buyer, potential buyer.
That's very cool.
She was certain that she could not afford a house. And not only was she certain she couldn't afford a house, she was certain like the house she could afford was only like X amount. So Justin was like, Dad, can you like crunch some numbers with her? And I said, let's do it together. We got together.
Very cool.
Crunched the numbers.
Very cool.
She thought I was like BSing her when I said, no, you could afford this. And these are the mortgage ratios, you know, 28, 36%. I broke it all down. And I made a video about mortgage ratios after that meeting. So here again, right? Like this is something that happened. Oh, this is content, made a video about it. So come full circle, Justin's client bought the house. He told her he could get her in before Christmas. She got in before Christmas. They're very happy, lovely family. They're friends of ours too. You know, we know the mom and the dad. So it just full circle worked out so well. So yeah, I like getting involved in that process too. So all the realtors out there, if you have buyers that want to understand this stuff, and I think realtors would do themselves a favor by understanding the lending ratio, the mortgage ratios and lending process and all that as much as possible.
You should 180% do mortgages too.
I did do mortgages at one time. I swear to God.
Of course you did. What was I thinking?
Well, what's the matter with you? So from 2002 to 2008, I did mortgages. I've done everything, bro. I did mortgages for a long time. So that's why I understand that step.
I feel like it would absolutely be perfect for what you do, because here's the thing, you genuinely care, and I can tell that. You were trying to be very nice before, and you were like, yeah, I'm sure mortgage banks, like most of them talk about it. They don't. They definitely don't. They'll ratchet people up to 47, 48% DTI, whatever it is. They don't care.
Yeah, and I know. I don't like disparaging.
Not to shit on a community of people.
No, exactly, because it's like, not all right, but
because it's also,
but it happens.
It's the person. It's ultimate responsibility, meaning if you're going to buy a house, it's your responsibility to know what you can and cannot afford. Right. People come to a lender and they're like, well, what can I afford? And they're like, well, we can lend you up to X amount of dollars, and that's it.
That's it. It's like going to a car dealer, right? And it's like, well, how much could you afford for a car? $350 a month. Oh, I could sell you this. You don't know what the car costs. how much you're eventually going to pay and all this other stuff. So let's circle back a little bit to the home ownership thing. Now that I got you.
Oh boy.
I got you on the spot, bro. So you made a video, and I actually do agree with you on a lot of what you said about, at the end of the day, you're not making money on a house, right? Like if you own a house and, you live in it, it probably costs you money and not, I don't think that's always the case, although it could be. And I thought that was a great video you made because people should understand that. It's like, don't think because you bought your house for $300,000 and then you sell it for $600,000, you made $300,000. No, you didn't. You paid, you amortize that mortgage, the interest and the repairs and all that. You actually may lose money in certain situations. But I think most people actually do make a little profit at the end of the day after living in a house for 20 years or more. Maybe not much.
I don't know. I'm saying that because, and that's really based on, my beliefs and me personally. And I'm a little odd in that respect.
No, but okay.
I mean, a guy who flips 70, 100 plus houses a year and doesn't own his own house is kind of
transactional to you, right? It's like a commodity or whatever. But for most people, a house is it's like the dream. That's the dream. So growing up in Brooklyn, and listen, I'll use myself as an example. Grew up in Brooklyn. I can remember barbecuing on fire escape, bro. Like that was a real thing for me. And then my parents went from Brooklyn to Brentwood. And when you're from Brooklyn, you're thinking Long Island is Long Island. You're not thinking, Brentwood, Hamptons, everything's the same. It's Long Island, right? I loved growing up in Brentwood. Learned so much in Brentwood. I saw the pride that owning a house brought to my parents, and it afforded me and my brother a very different lifestyle than we were living in Brooklyn. And, we from there, now I live in Smithtown. My brother lives, it changed our lives. So home ownership is more than
I get that.
Just like dollars and cents, and you're going to lose money. There's a bad fucking investment. Don't do this. It's like, no, it could change lives.
Now I kind of feel like a dick.
No, I don't mean it that way. But I was trying to bring it out that way. You are actually right. That's what I'm saying.
But what you're saying makes sense. And my mother yelled at me afterwards. My mother follows me on Instagram, and she'll yell at me, and she'll be like, "A house is about raising a family and making memories." And because my mother also from Brooklyn.
Shout out, Mom.
Same thing. So what you're saying is right. I took it to the extreme because I want people to understand.
And you are 100% right. Yep. That it's not a game. It's not, you don't
want to be house
like,
poor. This
is my retirement. And then they struggle. And to your point, they borrow more than they need. I had an Uncle Sal who told me, he called me Louie. Louie, he goes, don't buy any house that you cannot afford on your income alone. This is back then, right?
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'm not going to be able to get any house. But I took his advice, and thank God I did. Because when my wife had my girls and Justin was, 2-3 years old, she wasn't working. So I was able to, pay the bills and everything on my salary alone. I mean, we were eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for dinner half the time, but we did it. Wow. You know what I mean? And I'm joking about the peanut butter and jelly, but I do like peanut butter and jelly. It was tough, bro. It wasn't easy. It was not
I get it.
It was definitely a hiccup doing away with one income. So you got to be prepared for that.
You seem to now, do you have a lot of younger clients also?
Yes.
It seems like you're doing that, which is very cool. And it's great that they're starting early.
Yeah.
But so now I want to kind of talk about if you have a clientele that's now becoming younger and younger, the affordability on Long Island is insane.
Oh man. That's why I say they have it tougher, Charles.
So how do you, I guess in certain ways they do. You're right. I guess every generation has
you could be a
has
working
their
guy
things.
you could be a working family and buy a house in a really decent town on Long Island 25 years ago. Yeah. Now, I live in Smithtown, have a 3-bedroom ranch. I don't have a big house. They're going for $600,000.
Yeah.
I live in that house. I wouldn't pay $600,000. Nice house. We got it just the way we want it, but it's a lot of money. So how do my daughters, how do they afford a house like that? You know?
So what are the conversations that you have with them? What's this generation's concern? I mean, what do you see going on out there in respect to that?
Yeah, so my thing is that's why you have to start planning early.
Yeah.
The one thing you can't get back is time. So you got to start early. And, it's been proven, right? You could start with saving, $500 a month, $50 a month, whatever it is. Just start early. because compounding does the rest and time does the rest, right? And I mean, I don't have to go through it, but there's studies, right? You could start at 25, stop at 35, and the guy who starts at 35 and continues all the way to 65, the guy who started early is going to have more. Who started early and stopped will have more than the person who just kept going and trying to catch up. So you got to start early, and you got to know what you want, and then, you know, reverse engineer it. If you know you need $100,000 down payment and you want to buy a house in 5 years, well, let's start figuring out how much you need to save a month to get to that point.
No, smart. It's interesting. That just jogged my memory. When I was from 16 to 21, I worked at a 7-Eleven in Belmore.
Did you?
And the manager there was my ice cream man from when I was a kid. That's how I got that job.
Right.
And it's at 16 years old, he said to me, "You need to open up an IRA, and you need to max it out every year." And I did. I've had an IRA since I was like 17 years old. And that was a really big deal. Yeah,
it's a big deal. And that's where I'm at now. And I want to get back talking about my son and his team and the O'Neill team. And Dan, you owe me a phone call, by the way, because we were supposed to get together last week. It didn't happen, but whatever. I want to go back now a year later and say, okay, we took care of setting up an S corp for you guys. You got this. We're going to start quarterly, taxes this year.
Yep.
But now I want you to start thinking about every time that you have a deal, put 5-10% of it away into a Roth IRA. And then next year it'll be a different conversation. But it's there's levels, right? It's progression. You don't want to throw all this stuff at people right off the bat because they'll just say it's too much. It's overwhelming. I don't want to get started. So you got to just lay out here's the plan. Here's the roadmap.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing this year, next year, the year after.
No, that's huge, man. Listen, I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for all the knowledge. Thank you for all the love and respect that you've shown me.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for setting me up, man. I really got a lot of energy from you and your videos.
That's awesome.
Dean Miller was another guy, because I was like, all right, these aren't 20-something-year-old guys doing it, and they're doing it well. You know what I mean? So thank you. Thank you, too.
My pleasure. Listen, if people are in any business, especially real estate, and they want to, reach out to you and they want to, set their business up the right way at any age, how do they reach out to you? How do they get in touch with you?
You call me at my office, 631-236-5842. Or hit me up on any social media platform that I'm on. Instagram, Soriano CFP.
I really love that. That's awesome.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
And obviously, I'm the Handsome Homebuyer. If you have a house that smells like cat pee land, you know the drill. I want to buy it. 516-777-SOLD. And if you have a permit problem anywhere across Long Island, don't forget the Captain, 516-513-8838. That's a wrap.